Namaste, aloha, and we are back for another Krishna book reading. My name is Janapati Das. Please accept my most humble respects. And let's get into our hearing and chanting of Krishna's names. Please join me.
Rama Rama
Haribol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, Jagat Guru Siddheswara Pananda Srila Prabhupada, and I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual grandfather, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Tomorrow is a very special day. It's the appearance day of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the golden avatar of this day and age. He is non-different. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and in the mood of Radharani, descending into the material world to bring us the most wonderful hearing and chanting of Krishna's names as a prime benediction for humanity. So we'll be celebrating that tomorrow. And today we're going to continue with the story. We've been reading about Govardhan Hill. And as you know, as we've kind of told our story, the backstory, Krishna, of course, has lifted Govardhan Hill, protected their devotees. And in our last chapter, which was Wonderful Krishna, all the devotees, all the residents of Vrindavan were recollecting the wonderful pastimes of Krishna and the demons that he killed, and just a very beautiful and awesome recounting of how wonderful Krishna is. And now we're going to get into prayers by Indra, the king of heaven. So Indra's like, whoop, I think I made a big boo-boo. When Krishna saved the inhabitants of Vrindavan from the wrath of Indra by lifting Govardhan Hill, a Sarabi cow from Goloka Vrindavan, as well as King Indra from the heavenly planet, appeared before him. Indra, the king of heaven, was conscious of his offense before Krishna. Therefore, he stealthily appeared before him from a secluded place. So this is a devotee. A demon, of course, would not, most cases, not recognize the offense that they've done. But because Indra was a devotee of Lord Vishnu, Krishna, and he realized his mistake, he immediately appeared before Krishna to beg for forgiveness because of his offense. And this is what a devotee will do. So Indra was a devotee, and therefore he did the right action. He immediately fell down at the lotus feet of Krishna. Although his own crown was dazzling like sunshine, Indra knew about the exalted position of Krishna because Krishna is the master of Indra. But he could not believe that Krishna could come down and live in Vrindavan among the cowherd men. So this is a very wonderful thing, because devotees, demigods, people who are demigods, they're in very, very powerful positions, yet they do not have the complete, sometimes even understand the how vast and immense and complex the Supreme Personality of God is. They kind of figure that they know it all, right? That's what happens when you become puffed up. But the residents of Vrindavan, they didn't relate to Krishna in that way. They had complete faith and complete surrender to Krishna. But Indra didn't have complete surrender. He had a little bit of enviousness that was keeping that vision from him. And he made an offense because of it. When Krishna defied the authority of Indra, Indra became angry because he thought he was all in all within this universe and that no one was as powerful as he. But after this incident, his false puffed up prestige was destroyed. Krishna is the killer of many demons, but he's also the killer of our false pride and false ignorance. If we let him, he can destroy that, which is for our own benefit. Being conscious of his subordinate position, he appeared before Krishna with folded hands and began to offer the following prayers. My dear Lord, Indra said, being puffed up by my false prestige, I thought that you had offended me by not allowing the cowherd men to perform the Indra Yajna. And I thought that you wanted to enjoy the offerings that were arranged for the sacrifice. I thought that in the name of a Govardhan sacrifice, you were taking my share of profit. and I therefore mistook your position. Now, by your grace, I can understand that you are the Supreme Lord, personality of God, and that you are transcendental to all the material qualities. So even though Krishna, of course, is not touched by the material qualities, he is, as described in the Sri Shapanishad, the owner of all things. He is the owner. He is the Supreme Lord. He is the Supreme Controller. And oftentimes, not oftentimes, all the time in the material world, people, devotees of Krishna, they're really, all living entities are really devotees of Krishna, also fall into this enviousness and false being influenced by the external energy of Krishna, Maya Devi, start to believe that their name and fame and fortune is their own and theirs to control. So when they lose those kind of things, they become very easily angered, which is actually an anger against God, because God is the controller and owner. Even when people say, well, I'm not angry at God, I'm angry at this person. Well, the supreme controller is in charge of everything. And therefore, if he's taken something away through some kind of arrangement, karmically or whatever, then he is responsible. So therefore, our anger is directly related to, directed to Krishna, this enviousness and this anger. Your name, fame, quality. So let me back up a little bit. Now by your grace I can understand that you are the Supreme Lord, personality of Godhead, and you are transcendental to all the material qualities. Your transcendental position is Vishuddha Sattvam, which is above the platform of the material mode of goodness. And your transcendental abode is beyond the disturbance of the material qualities. Your name, fame, form, quality, and pastimes are all beyond this material nature, and they are never disturbed by the three material modes. Your abode is accessible only for one who undergoes severe austerities and penances, and who is completely freed from the onslaught of material qualities like passion and ignorance. If someone thinks that when you come in within this material world, you accept the modes of material nature, he is mistaken. The webs of the material qualities are never able to touch you, and you certainly do not accept them when you are present within this world. Your lordship is never conditioned by the laws of material nature. My dear Lord, you are the original father of this cosmic manifestation. You are the supreme spiritual master of this cosmic world, and you are the original proprietor of everything. So here Indra is laying out that he's now realizing that because he is a supreme Lord, he is the proprietor of all things, including all the heavenly planets and all the things, all the qualities that Lord Indra has, that everybody has. So we may, because of karmic reaction, we may come into a position where we have certain things in this world, certain positions and certain power, and but if we become blinded by that power, it will eventually be taken away from us. We may even have it our whole life, but it will be taken away at death. And we misuse the property of the Supreme Lord. In other words, we don't use that property in the service of the Lord. We will continually be conditioned by the material energy to stay within the material world. And we will actually have to suffer karmically for the reactions for the things that we've been given. We misuse them. As eternal time, you are competent to chastise offenders. Within this material world, there are many fools like myself who consider themselves to be the Supreme Lord or the all in all within the universe. You are so merciful that without punishing their offenses, you devise means so that their false prestige is subdued, and they can know that you and no one else are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My dear Lord, you are the Supreme Father, the Supreme Spiritual Master, and Supreme King. Therefore, you have the right to chastise all living entities whenever there is any discrepancy in their behavior. The Father, the Spiritual Master, and the Supreme Executive Officer, Executive, sorry, that's like, when you have a brain, one of those kind of brain farts. It's like, ooh, how do you say that word? Who, oh, what? No. Executive. Okay, there we go. I love this because this is a very, very spontaneous kind of video, right? And I'm just going to correct it. Officer of the state are always well-wishers of their sons, their students, and their citizens respectively. As such, the well-wishers have the right to chastise their dependents. By your own desire, you appear auspiciously on the earth in your eternal varieties of forms. You come to glorify the earthly planet and specifically to chastise persons who are falsely claiming to be God. In the material world, there is regular competition between different types of living entities to become supreme leaders of society. And after being frustrated in achieving the supreme positions of leadership, foolish persons claim to be God, the supreme personality. So we do see that a little bit in the world right now. People fighting over property, fighting over land, fighting over rights and things that's not really their possession. There are many such foolish personalities in this world like me, but in due course of time, when they come to their senses, they surrender unto you and again engage themselves properly by rendering service unto you. And that is the purpose of your chastising persons envious of you. So the chastisement, it's not like, oftentimes there's this idea that some religious people have that if you don't follow the rules, then God will punish you by sending you to hell for all eternity. This is not the right attitude, because the reason that Krishna, through the laws of nature, punish people is to teach them, help them come to their senses, basically. So we're given so many opportunities, and sometimes it takes living entities millions and millions and millions of lifetimes to finally get it right and just be like, I've had it. I've tried so long, and why is it that I don't find any happiness? And they start to inquire into the nature of why they are suffering, and this eventually leads them to the path of bhakti yoga and surrendering to Krishna. And that's why Krishna makes it very clear in the Bhagavad Gita, just abandon all varieties of religions, abandon everything, and just surrender to the Supreme Lord. Because the idea of surrender in this case, of loving service, it's like saying, okay, why don't I just pick you up and put you if you're a fish, I just put you in the fish bowl, put you back in the water. Oh no, I'm happy out here, flopping, or like my spiritual teacher always says, there's an oasis and the person's like, the sand in the desert is, the damn sand, it's burning me, it's not satisfying me. And then, but they're so focused on the sand, or they're so focused on like hopefully finding some kind of salvation in the mirages of the desert, that somebody comes along and says, hey, there's an oasis right here, you can satisfy your thirst. And then they're like, no. Just like, I don't want to go with you. Who are you? What kind of qualifications do you have? It's like, I'm doing really well out here in the desert. But so this very foolish people, they take forever and ever, and they just think that they're very, very intelligent. The atheists and the scientists and the speculators, they think they're so intelligent and that they've got it all together. And they're like the people out in the desert, just flopping around and going, well, this purple sand looks really nice, but they're really suffering. So, but every living entity eventually comes to a point of understanding, it's time to go back to Krishna. My dear Lord, I committed a great offense unto your lotus feet, being falsely proud of my material opulences, not knowing your unlimited power. Therefore, my Lord, kindly excuse me, because I am fool number one. This is becoming lower than the straw on the street. When you approach your spiritual master, when you approach Krishna, you are fool number one. And it's sort of becoming into that understanding, that vision of realizing I'm not all powerful. I am not God. Who am I? I am the most sinful, the most lowest wretch. Please, Krishna, protect me. And Krishna just picks you up like a mother picks up a baby. You know, it's very wonderful. So one should be very low, or lower than the straw on the street, to be able to receive the transcendental knowledge. And this is what we've been talking about in the stories in here, in the relationship between Arjuna and Krishna. The disciple takes the lowest position to humbly receive the information and to apply that information. And that's our process in sadhana bhakti. We're not perfect, and we're conditioned to be envious and feel like we are number one, and that the things that we have around us are ours. And this is what our sickness is. And so our spiritual master has very kindly given us the process by which we can be cured of our sickness. The hearing and chanting of Krishna's names through different means, whether it's Gauranga breathing or japa, or the chanting of Krishna's names. There are 9 processes of devotional service laid out in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But the most important, as Lord Chaitanya has mentioned, is the chanting, the hearing and chanting of Krishna's names. Kindly give me your blessings so that I may not act so foolishly again. If you think, my Lord, that the offense is very great and cannot be excused, then I appeal to you that I am your eternal servant. Your appearance in this world is to give protection to your eternal servants and to destroy the demons who maintain great military strength, just to burden the very existence of the earth. As I am your eternal servant, kindly excuse me. So Indra here is basically saying that you give protection to your devotees. I am taking shelter of you. I am asking for your forgiveness. Please don't, throw me away. Please protect me. And it is protecting, because Krishna is protecting you from the onslaught of the material energy. It's a very, very horrible and awful existence to be continually go through material life, just dealing with birth, disease, old age, and death over and over and over again, heartache and so many things. And so Krishna protects you. Krishna says, take shelter of me, be my servant, come back to your normal status, and you will go back to the spiritual world and not return to the material world. So it's very wonderful. My dear Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you because you are the Supreme Person and the Supreme Soul. You are the Son of Vasudeva, and you are the Supreme Lord Krishna, the Master of all pure devotees. Please accept my prostrated obeisances. You are the personification of supreme knowledge. You can appear anywhere according to your desire in any one of your eternal forms. You are the root of all creation and the supreme soul of all living entities. Due to my gross ignorance, I created a great disturbance in Vrindavan by sending torrents of rain and heavy hailstorm. I acted out of severe anger caused by your stopping the sacrifice which was to be held to satisfy me. So this is also the idea of enviousness and anger and greed and all these things, that the people who act demoniacally, and this is actually laid out in the Bhagavad Gita, of demoniac nature of living entities, when they have enviousness and anger, they act out in a way that causes great suffering, not only to themselves, but to everyone around them, the planet and everyone around them. And all we have to do is look around and see the way that is, we have a society that perpetuates enviousness and greed. And because of that, we have a lot of anger. People are angry all over the place. People criticizing, just being cruel and just doing horrible things. And it's creating great suffering. So the devotee of Krishna is very humble and very peaceful, does not wish any harm upon any living entity, is respectful to all, but does not expect respect in return. And so, here Indra created a great disturbance and pain and suffering to the devotees of Krishna, which was very displeasing. But he immediately saw his false pride as being very demoniac, and he begged for forgiveness to be put back into his normal position. Thus, praised by Indra, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, is smiling beautifully. Krishna is very he's only, when he hears these things, he smiles because he thinks, okay, the devotee is, understanding. It's very wonderful. That said, my dear Indra, I have stopped your sacrifice just to show my causeless mercy and to revive your memory that I am your eternal master. Once again, the devotee and Krishna always, even when they're chastising the disciples, or they're killing their bodies to stop the disturbances, it's out of mercy for the living entity so that they will not continuously suffer their karmic reaction. Here, Krishna has shown his causeless mercy to help Indra remember, wait a minute, you know who you are. So that's a different attitude than okay, God is going to punish you because you don't, check the right things. Okay, I accept Jesus Christ, da, 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 da. I do these things and I go to heaven, and and if you don't do that, then you go to hell because you were, even though God is all loving, he wants you to suffer for that. So that's not a real perfect or very intelligent way of looking at the real situation. Even the demigod of death, of the hellish planets and judgment, Yamaraj, he actually instructs the living entities before he sends them off to get their karmic reaction, whatever suffering. He instructs them on the spiritual life, and he does that so that they will be purified, so that they don't actually have to suffer as much. So Yamaraj is doing his job as a spiritual master as well. This is just to go to show that the devotees of Krishna are all compassionate, even if they seemingly you're being punished for something because you caused great suffering in the world. I am not only your master, but I am the master of all the demigods as well. Check my time here. Okay. You should always remember that all your material opulences are due to my mercy. Everyone should always remember that I am the Supreme Lord. I can show anyone my favor and I can chastise anyone because no one is superior to me. If I find someone overpowered by false pride in order to show him my causeless mercy, I withdraw all his opulences. It is noteworthy that Krishna sometimes removes all opulences in order to facilitate a rich man's becoming a surrendered soul to him. That's the ultimate goal, right? It's often said that, money becomes a burden for the living entity because they see all kinds of possibilities of enjoying materially when they have the financial. And you look at some people who are really, really wealthy, they live very, very opulent lifestyles, and it's not bringing them any happiness or joy. It's bringing them suffering. Sometimes there are very wealthy people who commit suicide or get into drugs or alcohol because they're just unhappy. This is a special favor of the Lord. Sometimes it is seen that a person is very opulent materially, but due to his devotional service to the Lord, he may be reduced to poverty. One should not think, however, that because he worshipped the Supreme Lord, he became poverty-stricken. The real purport is that when a person is a pure devotee, but at the same time, by miscalculation, he wants to lord it over material nature, the Lord shows his special mercy by taking away all material opulences until at last he surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. But there are devotees in the situation who are completely surrendered to the Lord, but because of the situation of how Krishna wants to, he knows this devotee is completely surrendered to me, whether he has money or he doesn't have money. It's not really a factor to him. So they allow, like the King Yudhisthira or the Sudama Brahman, which is a story we'll read later. devotees who are completely surrendered, and all they do if they get that money, if they get the opulence, is they completely redirect it into the service of Krishna. They buy the things to serve Krishna. They give the money to saintly people who are spreading Krishna consciousness. They're not attached to it, in other words. But here what's being talked about is that if a person has sort of like standing on the fence, it's like, okay, I want to be Krishna conscious, but at the same time I like having money and enjoying life, and that kind of pulls me over in this way and not in the way that Krishna will arrange it so that the person loses his money, so he has to take surrender to Krishna. After instructing Lord Krishna asked him to return to his kingdom in the heavenly planet, to remember always that he is never the supreme, but is always subordinate to the supreme personality of Godhead. He also advised him to remain as king of heaven, but be careful of false pride. After this, the transcendental Sarabi cow, who also came with Indra to see Krishna, offered her respectful obeisances unto him and worshipped him. The Sarabi offered her prayer as follows. My dear Lord Krishna, you are the most powerful of all mystic yogis, because you are the soul of the complete universe, and from you only all this cosmic manifestation has taken place. Therefore, although Indra tried his best to kill my descendant cows in Vrindavan, they remain under your shelter, and you have protected them also well. We do not know anyone else as the supreme, nor do we go to any other god or demigods for protection. Therefore, you are our Indra. You are the supreme father of the whole cosmic manifestation, and you are the protector and elevator of all the cows, Brahmanas, demigods, and others who are pure devotees of your lordship. O super soul of the universe, let us bathe you with our milk, because you are our Indra. O Lord, you appear just to diminish the burden of impure activities on the earth. In this way, Krishna was bathed by the milk of the Sarabi cows, and Indra was bathed by the water of the celestial Ganges through the trunk of his carrier elephant. After this, the heavenly King Indra, along with Sarabi cows and all other demigods and their mothers, worshipped Lord Krishna by bathing him with Ganges water in the milk of the Sarabis. Thus, Govinda, Lord Krishna, was pleased with all of them. The residents of the higher planetary systems, such as Gandharva Loka, Pitara Loka, Siddha Loka, and Charana Loka, all combined and began to glorify the Lord by chanting his holy name. Their wives and damsels began to dance with great joy. They very much satisfied the Lord by incessantly pouring flowers from the sky. When everything was very nicely and joyfully settled, the cows flooded the surface of the earth with their milk. The waters of the river began to flow and give nourishment to the trees, producing fruits and flowers of different colors and tastes. The trees began to pour drops of honey. The hills and mountains began to produce potent medicinal plants and valuable stones. Because of Krishna's presence, all these things happened very nicely, and the lower animals who were generally envious were envious no longer. After satisfying Krishna, who is the Lord of all the cows in Vrindavan, who is known as Govinda, King Indra took his permission to return to his heavenly kingdom. He was surrounded by all kinds of demigods who passed with him through cosmic space. This great incident is a powerful example of how Krishna consciousness can benefit the world. Even the lower animals forget their envious nature and become elevated to the qualities of the demigods. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 27th chapter of Krishna, Prayers by Indra, the King of Heaven. Beautiful story. And of course, we take our lessons with that. So many lessons of taking shelter of Krishna in many, many ways. Of showing that Krishna can give all protection, and the chanting of Krishna's names is the prime benediction for humanity, because it is so wonderful and it is the highest form. It's so powerful that it is said that even if a person hears the name of Krishna one time, or says the name even in an envious state, they are benefited immensely, and they will surely eventually go back to Krishna. Thank you very much. Let's chant some. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you very much. And make sure to like and subscribe my channel. Please share with your friends. Namaste.